back. Not sure what happened there, but looks like we disconnected from our lovely YouTube. Right, so we'll get back to this. Hopefully we didn't miss much. Last left off, I was just checking to see what it does. So right now, if I click on start, if I refresh this, and I click on game start, it goes to clicked, right? I don't want that. When I click on game start, I want it to go to the next state. So what do? Where should this function of my new state go, right? Well, it's got to go somewhere else. It's got to go somewhere where when I click start, it teleports me to the new scene, right? So how would I do that? Well, I know that I'm clicking start in my menu. Here's my menu, right? And my click start function is right here, where my hello label.txt is changed, right? But that's not what I want to happen. When I click my start button, I want to change my state. That's what I want to do. But guess what? My current state is actually a different state, right? That's what it's doing, right? It's actually a different state. And so I can do something like this. I can say current state change is true, or to my game, right, which I already know about, because game has been instantiated, because it's been instantiated before my menu, right? So here's how I would do that. I would say this. I would say, there's a couple ways to do this, by the way. I could set a flag, that's a global flag, that I'd say game state is true, new game state is whatever. I could do that, or I can just access the global function as is. So I can say something like this: current state is active is equal to game, right, with a lowercase g. Okay. Okay, cool. Now I did this in my click button, right? But when does it check to see if global if it's changed or not? How do I know that it changed, right? So if I do it here, my current state is equal to game, nothing much happens, right? And in my game.ts file, which is this one, sorry, the only time it goes to check my change states, right? Here's change state. Take a look. If I want to do this to change my change state function, and if I change my current state directly, that would be kind of bad, yeah? So I don't want that. What I actually want, which is better, is I want to call my change state function from within my menu function and pass in the state type. So it's going to ask for a state, as opposed to have a state that it's going to call from right away. Like I'm going to switch my state. So back up here, where I called my state for the first time, this change state right here, where state is equal to config menu state, I want to actually do one of these. So I want to say change state. That's the first time it's going to happen, right? And if you notice, I get an error because it doesn't expect a parameter. But down here, I'm going to add a parameter called state, right? And what type of state is it? It's a config.menu state, right? And if I've set up state as a number, that's what it is, just a number, right? Okay. This is good, right? So now it's waiting for a state. It's going to pass that state into the switch, and depending on what the state is, 0, 1, or 2, right? It's going to activate one of these items. That's what it's going to do. When it does that, it needs to do a couple things. It needs to clean up a couple things. One, it needs to, when I kill this state, this new state here is my menu state, right? My menu is the new state, right? The way I've coded it is when I do this, right? I don't kill my object. My object still exists, right? So let's see what happens when I run both objects at the same time. What does it do? Right? I gotta be careful here because I might have sound and other things going on in the background, right? Right now you can't tell what's happening, but I gotta be able to clean up my stuff as opposed to before. So it's not this. It's not current state is equal to game. That's not what I want to do, right? That would be bad, right? What I want to do in my click start button is the following. I want to say change states, and I want to pass in, right, state, or sorry, config. I'm going to go to the next thing, right? Config dot play, right? That's what I want to do. That's the first thing I want to do. I want to kind of move it to config dot play. Okay. So because I'm moving out of here, I also have to clean myself up. I'm actually changing my state, so I'm going to call my change state function. But then somehow, when I'm changing my function, I've got to kill this one. Kill this one, right? How do I do that? Well, going back to my game.ts, which is this one down here, and if I scroll down, I notice that I say menu is equal to new menu state. Game is equal to new game state. And I say current state is equal to game, right? This is good. This is a good thing. I have my menu state and my current state and all that kind of stuff. But what I want to do is I want to kill my previous state. So I want to say like current state, you know, again, like my current state itself, I want to kill it, or something like current state is equal to null, something like that, right? But that's just the driver. I don't know when I'm going from my menu state to my config state or to my play state. I want to kill my my previous menu state. So there's a couple ways to do that. I could say menu state is equal to new, the same thing. I can call this menu is equal to new states menu. I could do that, right? But I'm doing it every time, right? Wouldn't it be better if I had some kind of function that I can call one time to instantiate all my states, right, all at once, right? I could. Now, the only problem with that is that that means that I'll be active all at the same time, right? I could also make this more, I mean, I can make whatever changes I want in here, but I need to almost like kill my menu state. How do I kind of kill my, everything that's in my stage is what I want to do, yeah. I could. Wouldn't it be better if I just say something like this? Stage dot remove all, right? All children, and then it would kill my anything that's been added into the stage, which is I'm actually adding my menu and my game to the stage. So it just wipes it all off, theoretically. I'm putting theoretically in there because I want you to be careful. When I have a dispose method, I want to put the dispose method as part of my my abstract class, so I can call it from the current state function as opposed to from the function itself. Be careful, because how we do this, right? If I do have a dispose function at all. And what do I want to do? I want to kill all my objects in there, in my dispose function, whatever it is, right? But the objects should be unique to that particular state, because I'm going to have different objects for different states, right? So let's go, knowing this, let's try it the first way, without a dispose function. So what I want to do is this. Whenever I go into a new state, then I want to do something like this. I want to say, the first thing I want to do is I want to say stage dot remove all children. That's the first thing I want to do whenever I go into the state, right? So I clean up the stage. If I have any children, they're going to be gone. I want to do that. Might as well just do that here as well if I go to my game over state. I don't know what it's going to be, right? But that's what it's going to be. Let's see if that works. So remove all children, and then I'm going to start off my new game state. Okay, that's the first thing. Going back to my menu for a second. So I've changed state, my config.play state, change state. I'm calling my change state function. I'm going to say, let's go to this, move into this new state. I haven't killed anything yet, but when I get there, then it cleans it up. Let's see if this works. I'm going to stop debugging. I'm going to redo everything and then see if I get an error. All right, so my first state is working. It's my menu, if you will, and if I click start, I go to gameplay. See? So I'm in my new gameplay state. Now I can't go back because it just says click now, right? Back will actually teleport me back to my first state, right? So let's fix that now. Right, so we're going to go back down here, and we're going to go back into my game state, which is this one, and it'll be the same thing. When I click the back button, click start. It's actually not a start button. It's the I have to rename this thing, right? So I'm going to go here to my rename function, refactor, rename. I'm going to change this to click back button. By the way, I'm going to make my next one off of this one. Okay. Okay, so now that I've done that, my click back button is also updated over here. I'm going to save this one. And now I'm going to change state, global change state function, change state. I'm going to pass into config.menu state. I'm going to go back to my menu again, right? So I'm going to go back and forth. I between my menu and my other function again and again. Here's what we're going to test. How many display objects are, we're going to print this up next, because I want to check to see that my stage is clean, right? Because the more display objects I have on my stage, right, that means I haven't cleaned up my memory. English should be bad. Let's try this out. So I'm going to stop debugging. I'm going to go back onto this and play. And now we should be able to have a cyclical going back and forth kind of thing. There we go. So here's my game start function. Let's get rid of this. And we'll refresh to make sure it's correct. And I say start. I go to gameplay. And I go back. I go to game start. I go to start. I go gameplay. And I go back. I go to game start. I'm moving back and forth now between my scenes. It looks the same because the positions are the same. On my gameplay scene, this gameplay, I'm going to have my back and my next in a second. I'm going to move these buttons around. So I'm going to have my game over, right? So we have a definite change in play. One thing would like to check with you guys is I want to check to see here in real time what my in my game.ts file at the bottom. I want to kind of show what my, whenever I do this, I want to config. I want to kind of a console.log this my number of children, right, that are as part of my stage. Now, this is the way we do that. We'd say, so stage remove all children. I'm going to add my menu, and I'm going to say my current state is my menu. And at the bottom down here, I want to do a console.log. Console.log one time. When I'm going to do stage dot, I'll say num children, which is actually a property. Right? I'm printing out how many number of children that added into my stage. If I've done it correct, children should be 1. Right? No time ever should my number of children ever go up more than 1. Right? Because I'm wiping all the children out. So I only have 1 child. What is that? The scene that I'm adding in. Right? I'm never adding in more than 1 scene. So there should never be more than 1. If I have more than 1, I'm in trouble. Because every time I go back and forth, my game is continuing to slow down because I'm going to pack it on with more and more stuff until the whole thing crashes. All right, let's stop this, and we're going to kind of start this again and see how it goes. All right, we've got my game start scene. Let us go and look at my inspect element. I'm looking at my console, and I have 1. Right? This is good, right? So here's my 1, right? I'm going to click on my start button. I have 1, back 1, 1, 1. Every time I do it, I check. Every time I change my stuff, I only have 1 child on the scene, right? Which means I've wiped away everything else. I've done a hard delete of all my stuff, theoretically. Why am I saying theoretically? Because I also haven't tried sound. I haven't tried collisions. I haven't tried any of that stuff. I don't know if I really am wiping them away. Right now, it just seems that it's working. It's counting only 1 that's added to the scene. But what is happening to all that memory up there? Is it being released? I don't know yet. Right? That's my question. Right? The other thing to do as a check, if everything goes well, it shouldn't be able to remember any objects in each of my game states. Right? So let's try that one as the next test. So this one works. I know there's only 1. But let's do a console.log of the number of children I have in play, right, in my my game, right? So my game itself is actually a container. So I should be able to do game.number of children when I add in my current state. So I should be able to do something like this then. Console.log, right, current state, this is going to change every time, dot number of children. But my current state itself is a container, right? Because I've made it as such. So current state, that number of children. Let's see how many children my current state has. I'm going to stop. That's right here, right? So current state, number of children. I want to know how many children are in my current. This is in the display list in an array. How many children are in my array? Now this will change. Right now, I should have 2, right? I have my label and my button. That's it. So those are the 2 objects I should have in my array, and it should never go up. This is the test, my friends. If it only says 2 any time, and I'm going to add another one to the game, it's going to go 3. So it should go from 2 to 3 to 1. That's what it should be. Let's see how this works. All right, so we're going to refresh, and we're going to go inspect element, and we're going to go into console as an example. And right now we have two. This is good. I have my label and my button. Okay. All right. Look, it's looking good. Okay, now let's go back. Start. I have two, right? Because I have my label and my button. Now I'm going to go back to start, back, forth. It's always two. This is good. That means that I've reinstantiated my object when I go back and forth. I kill my other object because I'm using the new keyword again, right? So I'm killing the object once again. Every time I use a new keyword, it wipes away my memory and puts in a new object in there, right? Because I'm recalling, I'm using a new object in there. I'm having that container space, which is I'm calling game or menu. And whenever time I call, I say it's equal to new, I'm killing everything that was in there before. It's a hard kill, right? The machine will probably be crying when I do this, right? But you know, right now, there's no soft kill. I'm just killing it all. Kill them all. All right, so that's one. Now let's make a change to my my game state, which is this game state, so that we don't just have one button. We also have a next button. Let's try this out. So I'm going to say, here it is like this. I'm going to take this whole piece here, and this is not my start button, by the way. It's my back button, just from a coding perspective. And this is not my hello label, but this is actually my level label. Just from, again, a coding perspective. And I'm going to get all this back button here. I'm going to copy it, the whole thing. This is inside my states.game file, right? And I'm going to kind of go down here and press paste. And now I'm going to make another back button called next, a next button. And we're going to rename this one from my back button. I'm going to create a new button up here on the top in my private instance variables, right? We're going to say next button. And we're type objects.button, so second object, button object. And down in here, I'm going to say this is going to be my next button. All I'm doing is adding another button. They're also going to call the next button image, next button. And we're going to have to reposition these ones because they're going to be on top of each other in a second, right? Here's my next button. And instead of click my back button, I'm going to have another click event, right? That's going to make it so that I can go next. So there's going to be a click next button. I don't have that yet. Let's add it in. Click the next button event. And I'm going to add it in because here's my private method. I have one that's a callback function for my back button. I'm going to make another callback function, a private callback function for my next button, which is going to go to the next thing. So here's my next button, right? And I'm going to call this next button. There we go. And it's not going to call menu state. It's going to call the new state, which is the game over state. So it's going to be called, I don't have that yet, by the way, but I'm going to call this over state. Here's my over state. Okay, so I've got my menu state and my over state, so it can go back or go forward, right? That's what I'm going to do here. And I can't do that yet, but I'm going to, now the buttons aren't positioned properly. They're both at 320 by 240. That's cool. So 320 is in the middle, 340 is down, right? Let's move it from the middle. Let's put one on one side and one on the other side. So we'll say instead of 320, we'll say 220, let's say. And this one will be at 420. Let's give it a little bit of space. 220 and 420. And we've got the back button and the next button and all this kind of stuff. Okay, now the next button doesn't function yet because if I click next, it's going to go to someplace that doesn't exist, right? But I want to show that it's there. Let's see how I can do that. I'm going to save. I'm going to stop debugging, and I'm going to press play. Oh, and I think I should do it. Let's see if I'm right. If I'm not right, well, I have a problem, right? All right, so I'm going to refresh, and I'm going to go start, and now I have two buttons, right? My back button and my next button. If I go back, it goes back to start. If I go start, it goes to my gameplay. If I go back and next, right? Nice and easy, right? Now my next button doesn't function because there is no next function, right? Let's make it. So I'm going to say stop, and I'm going to stop debugging. And what do I have to do? I got to create another state, right? another state down here, right, where I make an over state. So I'm going to go right click. I'm going to add another TypeScript file. We're going to call this file over, right, as in game over. And I don't want to copy my menu state because that's not close to what I need. I want to copy my game state because it already has a back button, right? And I can remove the next button. All right, so let's do that. So go to my game state and copy everything. Copy all. Go to back to my over state and paste everything. Unpin this for a second so you can see everything. Here we go. And when I go here, I want to change the name from game to over. Right, so I got my over state. I don't need my next button because there's not going to be another place after this. It's just going to be the game over state, right? So let's get rid of my next button, right? All right, here's my level label, my back button. I don't have a next button. I'm going to go back down to here where my next button is and get rid of it. So I don't need this anymore. Oh, I also have a problem. I have to fix in a second. I only need one stage.addChild. That's something I just noticed, right? I don't need this click next button, so there won't be a next button in my new state. Well, at least we caught it, right? I would add complications, so I'm adding it twice, which we don't want. So I'm going to go to my game state, which is here, and get rid of that extra stage.addChild in the middle. I only do this once. We only add one time to stage, right? In my start function. All right, so I got my update. That's my game. I've got my over. Just a moment to make sure I've got everything in there. My click button. Now, instead of my back, when I go back, I don't go to my menu state in my over. I go back to the game state, which is called game or play state, right? Let's go play. It'll go here. It'll go here to the play state. Look, my back button. It'll go back to the play state, right? All right. Now my game over won't say game play. It'll say game over. So that's one thing we have to kind of change too. Game over. My back button is still going to be the back button image. I'm still going to do a click event. All this stuff is all going to stay the same. I've done it now. I'm going to save this thing, right? This is the menu class, just to fix these. This is the over class. And my game isn't the menu class, it's the game class. Sorry. Just to make sure everything is named properly. Cool. Now we're also going to go into my index.html. I'm going to bring up my solution explorer. I'm going to pin this up to my solution. And what I want to do in my index.html is add that in above my game in order. So here's my over. I'm going to add this in above my game. And now I have over, game, and menu in reverse order. So I know about them beforehand. Okay, good. Now, got those in there. Got to go back in my game itself and create a reference path in there, which is going to go right in here. I'm going to make some space just to be safe, so there's no issues in copy and pasting. And I'm just going to just put my over state in there, right? And add in some spacing here. There, save. In fact, I'm going to save all just to make sure I've saved everything. And in my game objects, I'm going to add another one called over. So I'm going to say var over is states dot over, right? Because I have that as available, right there. Another game object, and I'm adding into the main game. And now, when I go down to here, right, which is in my my state machine, right here, where it says config.overstate, I got to put the same stuff I normally have. So I'm going to go. This is not. We rejig this so it's all coded properly. So X out of this one. Go over here. This is going to show my game over scene. Sorry guys. This is going to show my play scene up here. And now down here where I have game is equal to new states game, it's going to be in my over state. I'm going to say over is equal to new states dot over, right? Which is going to revamp and kill whatever was in there before. And now my current state, I got to say my current state now, current state, which is equal to over, my over state. Okay, cool. Now, you have what I have. That's my state machine. It's basically the same thing I did. I've just changed the names to protect the innocent kind of thing, right? This, but the thing is, now you have a fully fledged state machine with 3 states, 3 levels, scenes, whatever you want to call them, right? That's what we have here. Okay. We're going to make one special effect before the end of the day. What I want to do is I want to make it so that my my button and my my stuff scroll on from the right, like actually transition, or have some kind of transition where it fades out. You know, it fades in. The first thing it does, it fades in over a period of time. We're going to figure that out. All right, so I've got this going on. I've got all this, and now I've got to build my game to make sure that I build my solution. And if all this works, build succeeded, then I'll run it, and then I'll save everything to GitHub. So you have everything. Okay, so good. So now I've got my stuff, my game start, refresh, and I click start, gameplay, and I go next. Game over, and look, my back button's there. It means we have to put it back here. I got to make that change. Back, gameplay, back, game start. So now I have a fully fledged linked list of events where I can go from game start through the entire list. Hey, this is something we have to check before we do this. I'm going to right click here. I'm going to go inspect element, right? Right. Now look what's happening here. I'm going to move from, I'm going to kind of refresh this for a second so you see what's saying. So right now we start off with two objects. My game start is my label. My start is my button. I have 2 objects on in my current state function, right? If you will. I click start. Now I have 3 objects. 1, 2, 3, right? Now I go next. I should go 2 again, right? 2. Back, I should have 3. Back again, I should go to 2. So it's measuring things properly. And my display list, the beautiful thing is, my display list is never growing. Because my display list is never growing, I'm not going to run out of memory for my game. I've protected my game by doing these scenes. They're now containers I've prepped for all of our other games we're going to make for this course. I know this is like week 4. And you're like, now we're doing prep for this? Well, yeah, but you have to do all this. This is all set up for us, right? And plus, you get your first assignment, which is you could have used this whole thing. So, Stephen, if you wanted to change this up and somehow use this, it's ready to go. Like, all you have to do is basically plug in your information, and you're good. You don't have to use Impress.js after this. Like, you don't have to do that. And again, for those people who are away or remote, I'm going to extend the assignment number 1 to Monday at midnight, which I'll do online in Centennial. Okay, so that way everyone has a little bit of a chance to get that done along with your game assignment. Why not? Let's just pile them on together. All right, let's stop this for a second, and I'm going to stop debugging. And this is a great place to do a bit of an update to GitHub. So I'm going to go to Team Explorer, and I'm going to go to Home, and I'm going to go to Changes. And if you notice here, I've got a bunch of changes and also some untracked files, my game and my over. Those are 2 new states I added in. I'm going to add them in there. And I'm going to go to like this. I'm going to say added game states and over states. That's what I added in there, right? And commit. Here's my new commit. It means something to me. The commit should mean something to you, right? And now I'm going to go unsync commits and click sync. And when I do this, it's going to push everything to GitHub. When I go back to here, hopefully we're still recording, I am. If I go back to here, if I go to GitHub and refresh, now I should see that, you know, lesson 4 should show me that I added my game over state and so on, right? So now you have everything. You have the 3 states that I got going on, right? I've got my first state, my second state, my third state. Let me just do a couple changes now. I think what I need to do is clean up my stuff that I got going on here. So right now I have a bunch of stuff. My config file, I'm going to close it up for a second. I'm going to go to my game, and in my game I have my 2 buttons, so that's good. And also what I want to do is I only have 1 button now, so I'm going to move this back to 320, just from a coordination perspective, right? Okay, I want to prove to you that I can use the update function individually, right? So in my last state, right, if it works for one, it'll work for all because they're the same, exactly the same as all of them, right? In my last state, I have an update function that I haven't used. It's right here, is my update function. And what I want to do here is I want to rotate, right, my label in my update function. Let's see if it blows up my file. It blows up my game. All right, so I'm going to do this. So how do I rotate it? I can do one of these. I can say that my label then is my level label. So this dot level label dot rotation, because it's a label, plus equals to 5. Just 5 degrees. And it's going to happen on update. Now I've only added it in to my over state in the class. So I'm rotating it here. So I'm saying my level label, I'm rotating it, rotation is plus equals. I'm adding or incrementing the rotation, the positive rotation by 5 degrees every frame. How am I doing it every frame? Because this update method is being called in my, let me kill this for a second, in my game.ts file, right here, look, here's my current state update. So I'm actually calling my update method in my main game loop every frame. This is where I'm calling it right here. So I'm actually calling scenes update method, or I should say state, because we're saying right now, states update method. Okay, cool. If this works, that means when I go to my last scene, my game over will rotate, but everything else will stay static. If I can rotate my game over on my last scene, I can rotate or do anything, any update on any scene. This is the final test that I want to do with you. So play. Let's see if I blow up my game. Steven, you think I'm gonna blow up my game? So far, so good, right? All right, so let's go back here. If you notice game start, I'm gonna start. And I'm gonna next, and then it rotates in a weird way, right? But that's okay, because that means that my update function is working from within my class, right? So now each class, each of these containers is contained, and I can have a whole game world within each of these containers, a whole level. This is the way, if I was going to ask you, one of your projects I'm going to make you do, your final project in this course, so for you to do 3 levels, just like you would in your other course, right? I'm going to get you to do a start screen, an instruction screen, a level 2 screen, a level 3 screen, and a game over screen, right? Now you have the methodology to do all these scenes right here, right? You can move from one scene to the other, and this whole first project is going to allow you to do that. It's going to allow you to move from one scene to the other. Let's go back. All right, and let's go next. It starts over again. Let's go back. And let's go back again to game start, right? How about music, right? Like we've talked about a bunch of stuff, but I think one of the things I need to add in is some kind of music that I want to play, right? I want to add some music that I want to play throughout the scene. And I think the next part, I'm going to kind of stop recording this one because we have a bit of a problem, right? We still have a bit of a problem. We're still not quite there from an environment setup perspective, believe it or not, right? Because all I've been doing so far, if you notice, going back to my stuff, in my game.ts file, is I have an init function, and I have a game loop. But you know what? Every single time I call my buttons, or if I want to have sounds or anything, right? I'm actually doing a file call. I'm calling the file system every single time. I don't want to do that. And in the next movie, what we're going to learn how to do is preload everything. I want to preload everything, right? And when I preload everything, I want to do it so that way I preload my sounds that I want to have in. All my sounds are going to be up. And on top of that, I want to preload all my graphics, right? So I can only call them once. And I'm going to have a friendly name that I'm going to call, as opposed to the way I'm doing it right now, which means that we're going to have to change my button class a little bit. Because my button class actually has a path. I don't want that hard-coded path, because that may mess you up. I want to call this friendly name that's part of my asset manifest, right? And that's my first step for asset management. Then step 2, I'm actually going to create an asset management class, an asset manager, which is a container class that's going to contain all my assets that I can call them at any time, right? So a whole asset manager class. Make sense? So let's stop recording this so I can continue on to the next piece.